Avoid legal snags by telling people they're recorded. All right, you guys are being recorded. I want to avoid those legal snags.
You
Okay.
have my permission.
Thank you. Welcome to Fireside Nets with Spen and Nick. We have a very special episode for you today. We have a Nets legend in our eyes on the podcast. Nick, you want to do the introduction?
Absolutely. So our guest has been a champion in Slovenia, Germany, Italy, Turkey, and Spain. He's received numerous European All-Star selections and was in the All-Euro Cup first team in 2009. He also played in the NBA from 2002 to 2008 for the Rockets, Hornets, and had his two best years with our New Jersey Nets, where he averaged nearly 10 points a game. Please welcome all the way from Spain right now, Boston, Boki Nachbar. What's up, Boki?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
It's
Pretty
going
good.
well. It's going well. I guess we'll start with the question that we're going to ask everyone until this thing is over. How has the quarantine been for you? How are you and your family? You mentioned you're calling from Spain today. So how has that quarantine been?
It's been challenging. It's been obviously something we never envisioned to go through. If even as as little as 2 months back, nobody thought that we'll see a life like this, to be basically on a lockdown. Spain's been hit pretty hard. Not in the south where I live with my family, but it's been obviously the whole country's been on lockdown for about 6 weeks, and it's been difficult for many people to go through this kind of experience. Pretty much we were not allowed to leave our house except for maybe going to groceries and pharmacy or hospital. So that's been difficult, more on the kids than I think on the adults. But I think we're seeing an improvement in the last week to 10 days here. Now we're allowed to go back out and spend some time in the sun. So it's getting better, but it's definitely not a pleasant experience to go through this.
Yeah, we can absolutely relate. New Jersey was hit pretty hard, as I'm sure you've heard, and as well as New York City. So that first 2-3 weeks was pretty scary for us. I mean, we weren't supposed to leave the house after 8 p.m. It's gotten a little better recently. New Jersey opened up some parks. But my brother and I, Nick, we've been making the most of it. I mean, we have a hoop in our driveway, so we go hard basketball one-on-one games. I mentioned this in our last interview. I hurt my ankle really badly. I think I sprained it about a week or two ago. It's almost fully healed. But yeah, just making the most of it. I mean, you're right. It is tough on I would say a lot of the kids in town not being able to go to school. But we all got to kind of do our part at this point. And I guess get through it together.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said. I mean it's a very unpleasant experience, and I just can't stop thinking about all the people that got affected by losing jobs and not having opportunity to provide for the families. This has been the most difficult part for me to see that also, not just to think about it. So a lot of people in Spain here as well are in similar situations, like many millions of people in the U.S. I just really hope that this thing gets better soon. I hope we find right solutions on how to deal with this, not to overreact, not to go too crazy, not to crush all the economies around the world, because I think long term we're going to see even bigger effects of this. So hopefully, as a species, as a societies, we learned a lot from this, and next time that a virus like this will hit, we'll be better prepared.
I don't think I could say it any better. All right, well, let's kind of jump onto one of the only positives throughout this quarantine is The Last Dance that premiered on ESPN a few weeks ago, the docu-series about Michael Jordan's final year with the 98 Chicago Bulls, but they're going back through his entire career with the Bulls, really. You've been watching The Last Dance?
Yeah, I've been absolutely loving it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, so what about it do you like? How can you kind of relate? I know you were 19 in 99, so it was right before your era, but we're growing up, was Michael Jordan someone that you looked up to?
He was definitely the main guy that everybody looked up to, but not the only guy. The funny thing is that when I'm watching these documentaries now, or this series now, it's the Lakers and Bulls final series was actually the first NBA games ever that I was able to see back in Europe. I mean, back then, obviously, no internet, and very few people or houses or families had a satellite dish where they could catch some games from abroad. So I still have it at home at my parents' house. Those old Betamax, how do you call them? Betamax VHS tapes of those old Lakers and Bulls games, and those were actually that's the first time I saw NBA on TV. That's for me was the game changer, so to say. So to go through that and relive that, and to see the championship runs of the Bulls and everything that went behind the scenes is just great. But for me, even better is to have my kids, my two daughters, who are both in love with basketball, to have them see how great those Bulls were, and to see the games and the championships and the seasons that we were watching as kids. So they can kind of see that for the first time, because obviously they know who Michael Jordan is. They heard of Chicago Bulls, but now they understand it. They understand the impact that MJ and the Bulls have or had. So that's what I enjoyed the most, watching my daughters watch those series.
And now they know who Dennis Rodman is too.
Oh, he's the man now. All of a sudden, he's the man. Him and Scottie Pippen. They're like I didn't. My daughter was like, I didn't even know who was Scottie Pippen, but now I know he's my favorite player. I like MJ, but Scottie Pippen is my favorite player. And the youngest one loves Dennis Rodman because he has the crazy hair. So it's I really do enjoy it a lot, and I'm very thankful that this whoever was involved in this, that they came up with this idea, and actually that it's on TVs now during this tough period. It gives us something to look forward to.
No, absolutely. I think they've done a great job with it so far, and we have a few more episodes left. But I'm excited. I know what happens. I'm just excited to see the.
Exactly.
I'm excited.
Exactly.
Well,
All right.
it's funny. We were joking around about all these game rewinds they have on TV. Like they were showing one of your games, the Raptors Nets in the 07 playoffs the other day. And a lot of the games, me and Spencer were saying, we know how the series ends, but we don't remember like those specific games. So in a sense, watching those, you are sometimes pleasantly surprised. They showed the Mavs Heat 2011 finals too, and I forgot the 17-point comeback Nowitzki had over LeBron in that one too. So it's nice sometimes when you don't remember specifically.
I forgot though exactly what happened in our series against the Raptors, for example. I did see it on Twitter that it was on Yes Network replaying, and I thought that was great, to have the fans being reminded of not championships, but still some good series, that New Jersey fans could enjoy. And yeah, it was fun to relive that. I don't think I ever actually watched or rewatched all the games of that series. But it was fun to watch the highlights now and kind of be reminded and go on YouTube and see what happened. I forgot, and I played them, and I couldn't remember when and where and how I scored, Nevertheless, my teammates. So it was kind of fun to see that, because I'm definitely not one of those guys who would just sit in front of TV and watch my old games the whole day. Even though my daughters want me to put them on all the time, I'm just not into it. It's sometimes I enjoy it, and sometimes I just want to go back again and play, and it's difficult to watch because I get dragged into it and just want to go back 13, 14 years and play it over again. It's not easy to watch it.
I saw that Raptors fan chirped you on Twitter. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, here and there people would remember whether it was this series or some other games, and I just want everybody to know that for me it's always been fun to play in front of fans and packed arenas, and I don't hold grudge against anybody, and especially Europe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Except for Karl Malone.
Well, that's a different story, but even in Europe, I mean, the fans can be brutal, and I never hold anything against it. I mean, you were cheering for your team, I played against you, and we won or we lost, and let's move on. I mean, that's sports,
I mean, it was a backwards hand compliment. He's like, I'll never forget how much I hated Boki Nachbar for hitting all those threes against my Raptors. He was essentially complimenting you.
Yeah. It's true, and it's good to see that kind of an approach from fans. You never want to see that negativity, especially on Twitter or online. I hate it. I shut down immediately when I see that, or I never respond. But the stuff like that, the positivity, sure, I'm there. I'll answer back every time.
So let's get into your career a little bit. When you were 19, you won the championship in Slovenia. You were an all-star that year, and you were also an all-star in 2000. How did you handle that success at such a young age?
Well, in that period, actually, I was not the only one that was young and had a lot of promise. The whole generation of players from, let's say, born in '79 all until let's say '86. The Goran Dragic is '86, for example. So all that period had a lot of young guys coming up with a lot of promise, and many of those players either ended up in NBA or top European leagues. So I was actually one of the few. I wasn't the only one that had that early success. Some of the guys actually had even bigger success than I did at that age. Um, so I think the biggest reason why I wasn't too crazy about it, because my eyes or my goal was set on the NBA. So winning a championship and being one of the best players or best young players in Slovenia wasn't what I was aiming for, you know. So it was just another step to get or to make it to the NBA, which was my ultimate goal and my dream.
And is that like for most people, you would say rising up in Europe, is it trying to, get from a better European to a better European team until you could get drafted to the NBA? Because obviously you made that leap to Italy. Was the goal to just keep rising up?
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. You know, you start in a smaller club, then eventually you'll probably play for one of the best teams in the country, especially if you're coming from smaller countries like Slovenia, which doesn't have the high level EuroLeague basketball, at least not anymore. The goal has always been then to make it to one of those top European teams, which I did back then, and had luck to play for Mike D'Antoni actually when he was a coach in Benetton, Treviso in Italy. So for me, that was another step then, you know, and we won Italian championship, and I was the youngest foreign player in Italy and starting five, and we made it to the final four of EuroLeague, and again, it wasn't the end for me, you know, it was about making it to the NBA. This was always the dream. So I think once I made that step to go to get to go to the draft or get drafted and then be in the NBA was enough when I finally, let's say, relaxed a little bit, so to say, or start breathing and say, okay, I'm here now. Now I can work hard, but at the same time enjoy, because it's been actually a long road to get there. You know, people think that, oh, you're 19, 20, and then you get drafted. But, you know, I started playing when I was 8, and pretty much every day I spent with the basketball in my hand. So it's been like a almost, I want to say, 13-year journey to get to the NBA, you know, for me. So
Was D'Antoni a help in getting to the NBA?
he was a big help. He was a big help. And then people always ask me, what did you learn from Mike? And for me, it has never been about. For me, it's never been about that. He taught me something new. It was about him giving me the confidence to play. You know, being the youngest guy on the team and being one of the guys that played a big role. That didn't just happen. I just didn't just get there. It was Mike D'Antoni who, from day one, was giving me the confidence, saying you are good enough to play as a starter in one of the best European teams, even as a 19, 20-year-old kid. You know, so that's the biggest thing I got from him, and the confidence he gave me was much needed in my career. So I'll always be appreciative of Mike. He's been a huge help for me.
2002, your dream becomes a reality. You're drafted 15th overall in the first round to the Houston Rockets. Did you know that's where you were going, or was that a shock to you to be drafted by the Rockets?
I knew I was gonna most probably gonna be drafted by the Rockets. The Rockets have watched me all year when I was in Italy. I mean, I know they were following me amongst some other teams. Rudy Tomjanovic, he was a coach, and I know he was in Italy and he came to watch me play live. So I knew there was interest because the head coach of the NBA team openly said that he's coming to watch me. I mean, I saw it in the media, so I knew that there was interest there. I had a couple of workouts, individual workouts before the draft, and Rockets were one of them, and I had a great workout there. So they definitely told me that they would like to get me at 15. I think the only obstacle there was if Caron Butler would, for whatever reason, drop down. This was the only one that I said they would take me, that they would take me in front, because they really badly wanted a small forward. So I knew that once Caron was picked, I believe number 10 by Miami, if I'm not mistaken, I knew that most probably I'll get picked by the Rockets. But the lowest I was going to drop was 19, I believe, or 18 or 19, which was Utah Jazz, because they kind of gave let's say, a verbal commitment to saying they will pick me if I'm on the board. So I knew it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 20 and 19. I mean, 15 and 19 for me. So I kind of expected it, to be honest.
Where were you when you heard your name getting called?
No, I was at Madison Square. I was actually there. So I was,
nice.
yeah. So I walked up and I shaked late David Stern's hand, and it was one of the greatest memories in my life, to be there. So it's been special for sure. It's been special.
You and Yao were actually drafted in the same class to the same team. How exciting was that, and what was it like to get to know Yao and play with him?
It was to know Yao. It was definitely something else. He's a quite a unique person. Was very shy when he first got in. His English was limited. He has, he had a little bit of a hearing problem to one of his ears, which I believe he still does, and so it kind of limited his communication. For some reason, he really liked me a lot. I think he saw that we have a lot in common, both rookies, both from abroad, both first time together, both in this new environment. So we bonded really quickly and became, best friends after a couple of days that we were there. We were really, really close. But to watch the craziness around him, I really I started to have incredible appreciation for what he does and who he is, because the following he had for those first couple of years, especially with the Rockets, with the media and the fans and the pressure that I know he was feeling from the home country that wanted him or needed him to succeed was immense. So even though we were from a completely different backgrounds, I'm come from a small Slovenia of 2 million people, and he comes from China, one of the biggest and most populated countries on the planet. We still remained, close friends for many years, and we still are. I mean, we don't talk every day, but if I need something from him, I can call him up and reach out. So he's a
If you
friend
need
for
him to
life.
grab something, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a amazing guy. Amazing guy. I have nothing but the best things to say about him. Just the pressure the amount of pressure he handled is something I have never seen in my life from any player.
That's really cool.
Your first few seasons in the NBA, obviously with the Houston Rockets, you played for Jeff Van Gundy, correct?
Yes. After my first year, Rudy T stepped down because of the health issues. So the whole new coaching staff came in with Coach Jeff Van Gundy and his staff. So it was a complete change, and I knew that was not good for me because Rudy T and his staff drafted me. They wanted me to fit into the Steve Francis, Coutinho Mobley, fast, open style of basketball. And then once Jeff came in, he wanted that hard defense, hard defense knows, like slow veteran type of basketball. He wanted it. He made it very clear.
Yeah.
And I didn't fit in that. I knew I didn't. I did my best, and I'm sure he did his best to try to include me. I did play. It's not like I didn't play. I was earning minutes, and I played more and more. But I wasn't his type of player, and I knew that. And I think he knew it obviously almost immediately that I'm not his type of player. So, but people always thought, when I left Houston, people thought that when I got traded away that me and Jeff didn't get along. It's not true. I learned a lot from Jeff, and I have incredible appreciation for him for who he is and what he's done for me. I really do. And it was great to see him years after, when I was actually playing with the Nets and playing well, and he was doing the commentating, and him coming up to me and being genuinely happy for me to having this kind of success meant the world to me. So every time I watch Jeff on TV commentating, it's the best time ever. I mean, I think him and Mark Jackson are simply the best. I enjoy it.
He seems like one of those. He seems like one of those genuine people that even if he's not happy with you, he's not going to go behind. He's going to tell you how he feels.
He's direct.
Yeah.
He's direct, and I really did appreciate that. I really did appreciate it, even though it was not easy at times. And there were moments when I would play 10, 15 games in a row, and then I would just not play anymore for a game or two. And usually coaches would just stay quiet. They would stick by their decision, and it's my decision, and I don't have to explain to you why you're not playing, especially if you're 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th guy, on the team. Jeff was direct. He's like, you're not doing well, this, and this. Other guys are doing better. If you can improve that, then you'll get minutes. So I knew where I was. I knew what I had to do to regain my minutes, for example. And I did in that year when I played when we played against the series. I outplayed in the last 20, 25 games of the season some of my teammates, and I earned the minutes for playoffs where the rotation was shortened. So he was direct. He was honest. And I always appreciated that. And actually, he taught me how important it is to be honest and direct in such a situation. So really, nothing but praise for him. And he still remains, until today, one of my favorite coaches, even though I never had crazy success with him for those reasons.
That's a great transition. So you bring up that playoff series against the Lakers in the 2003-2004 season. You got into it, not really. I'm not going to say you got into it, but there were a few, I guess, accidental bumps with Karl Malone. Tell us about how that situation transpired and what, if anything, he was saying to you. Because I watched the video a few days ago. It's funny. You looked unfazed. He looked pissed the entire time.
But that's the funny thing, that I honestly was not even. I wasn't even. I was not phased. I wasn't, and I'm not trying to brag. It's not about bragging, saying, "Hey, I got into it with Karl Malone." To me, I think I was so focused on other things in the game that it just didn't even touch me. It didn't move me. I didn't care. I knew that I had to do the best thing when I was going to that drive, and I made the dunk, and then his jersey got ripped because he kind of undercut me, and I tried to block him on the other side and all this stuff. But I think
that was
fans.
clean. That was clean to me.
It was. We have to be honest. But the thing is, I think that Karl Malone probably got upset because he thought the ball went out of bounds. I don't think he even knew that I got called for a foul. That's I think what kind of made him upset. But the thing is that to me that wasn't a big deal. The fans obviously saw this huge difference between a kid from Slovenia, an unknown kid from Slovenia, and then a Hall of Famer getting into it. So the fans and the media kind of made this big deal out of it. To me, it was never a big deal, and to be quite honest, I don't even I forget about it completely until guys like you then remind me of it. To me, I think about other things of my career, not getting into it with Karl Malone. So.
And that must have been his like last or second to last season, right? I mean, he was.
I think
probably
it was
angry about other things too.
I think it was his last season, if I'm not mistaken. I know the Detroit Pistons won in that year, the finals. Team, I don't know if that team, the Laker team, came back with Gary Payton and Rick Fox and those guys. I'm not really sure, but one of the last years, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, he was probably getting frustrated with hoping to win a championship, but that's fair.
Probably.
We're not going to dive too much into the Hornet Thunder years, but I read a stat that you put up 21 points against the Houston Rockets. That had to feel good, right? Going up against your former team, putting up 21.
Yeah, but to be honest, until you just told me about it, because earlier before recording you said I had 21, and I was like, who was it against? But now I do remember. Yeah, I mean it was against the Rockets, and definitely felt good. The Hornets were important period for me because it was a team that didn't chase any playoffs, didn't chase championships. They were just looking for which players could fit, which players could play for their system with Byron Scott. I re-signed there, signed a new 3-year deal, but then got traded to the Nets halfway into my first deal, which turned out to be great for me. But that period was important for me because I was able to play without being preoccupied with winning championships or making the playoffs. Just play, just go and have fun and play. And for a young player, of course, everybody wants to play on a team that is winning constantly. But for me at that time, it was more important to just enjoy the basketball and not be preoccupied with winning and losing. And I think young players sometimes, especially when they have a rough time, they need that. They need to just play, and that was important for me.
You traded to the Nets in the 2005-2006 season, I think towards the very end. In the 2006-2007 season, you become the sixth man on a team that had Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson, Antoine Wright, and Cliff Robinson. Did you expect to get that much playing time on a team with those names?
I knew I had a legit chance because I was watching other players play, especially when I got traded there and didn't play immediately. That first year I didn't play a lot. So I was watching and seeing that playing with Jason Kidd, you basically have an advantage if you can run the floor and shoot the three. And that's what I do. That's been my whole career pretty much, running the floor, being great on the open floor and being able to shoot a three-pointer. So I knew I just needed the right chance. If I keep my head down and I keep working, sooner or later, Lawrence Frank, the coach, will see that. He'll give me the chance, and I just have to take it. And that's exactly what happened. When the next training camp started for the next season, I came in 100% ready, hungry, and started fighting for minutes, and I got them. So honestly, I kind of knew what I had to do. I just had to do it.
Who were some guys on that team that helped you along the way? Or were there any guys on that first New Jersey Nets squad you became tight with that kind of gave you the confidence to work hard?
Well, it was easier to have Nenad Krstić and Zoran Planinic, guys from similar backgrounds that I have. So it was funny because we had a Serbian, Croatian, and Slovenian on one team. I think that was the first time in NBA that happened. And those three countries were in the war for many years,
Right.
in the past, in not so distant past. So it was actually a good time to have them there. It was important for me. But then once I started playing, I would never say I became tight with Vince or Jason, but we definitely clicked on the court. That's for sure, and I could feel that they enjoy playing with me, which was great. Um, you know, Also with other guys on the team, we really had a good chemistry. But RJ was probably standing out. Me and RJ, we got along great. He was a funny guy
That's
then,
our
and he's still
boy.
a funny guy now. He's the best. He's the best.
We're a huge Richard Jefferson podcast. We met
Yeah,
him when we were kids. He was the only net at a media day to take a picture with us, and we were like 10 and 8 or something. That stuff sticks with you. And he's
yeah.
done so well after his career in the media, working with the Nets, working with Iron Eagle and Sarah Kustoch. Uh, he's been great, and we're such big fans. So to hear you, a former teammate, speak highly of him, it makes me and Nick really happy.
Oh, RJ was the best. RJ was always like he was great with me. He knew I needed a little bit of a push. He knew that obviously he kind of understood better us Europeans. He knew that our culture was a little bit different, and that we didn't in every environment, every NBA environment where you have a lot of American players in the locker room, and then you have a European kind of an outsider. He kind of understood that, and he always took me under his wing, even though we're pretty much the same age. But he was far ahead in his NBA career compared to mine. Um, so it was great, and it was funny because the year that I didn't play much, he kind of was always joking with me that I'm chubby and that I'm a little bit fat and I have that baby fat, and I kind of took that seriously. So over the summer, I took care of that, and that helped me. So it was good to have him, even though we played the same position. A lot of times we were kind of subbing in and out for each other, but we never had any kind of issues with that. I don't think he saw me as a threat. I was never obviously a real threat to his minutes, but I did compliment him well, and I think that I gave him and other guys on the team a good rest when they needed it.
You touched upon it a little bit before, and I just kind of wanted to get, a little bit more detail. How special was it to play with a point guard like Jason Kidd?
It was unlike any other experience I had with playing any other point guard, and I think that says a lot because I did play, for example, with Chris Paul for that period with the Hornets. I did play with Baron Davis. I did play with Steve Francis in his best years. So to play with Jason was maybe difficult on one hand that you have to be on point. He didn't like if you were lacking, so to say. You needed to be on point. You need to do things right. But at the same time, it was easy, at least for me, like I said before, because those things came natural for me. To run the court, to be available to make an open shot, to spread the floor, which made his job easier and Vince's and so on and so on. Jason recognized that, and for me, like I said, once I got the minutes, it was easy. It was fun. And the time I enjoyed the most in my career was just definitely playing alongside Jason Kidd by far. That was fun, and a lot of guys, including myself, we made a good money off of playing with Jason. You can start with Brian Scalabrine and go down the list. I mean, we all made careers also because Jason made it easier for us.
Absolutely. And, going off the Nets of the years prior to that, they had got the 2 championships in a row, lost both. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, lost to the eventual champion Pistons. When you joined that team, was there this pressure that there were maybe a couple of years left for, Carter, Kidd, Jefferson, and everyone else to win something big together?
Yeah, I didn't know or didn't feel that immediately when I got to the team, but I started understanding that in my second year with the Nets. I kind of knew that there was this pressure that the team had the win now mentality, even though we knew it was a long shot to make it to the NBA Finals, that other teams were most probably had better rosters than we did. I still think we kind of made the most out of the teams we had, especially in that 06, 07. Even though I think that the Cleveland series was actually closer than people would think. But I could feel the pressure, especially, we all knew that Jason wants to win badly. We all knew that Vince is he's not going to get any younger, and that his production at some point is going to start going down. RJ was always bitching and moaning about something. Half the time we didn't know what, but he also obviously wanted to win. That was his biggest thing. So we from those three reacting the way they did, other guys could feel that they want to win. We could totally sense that, and of course the management and everybody else knew that if they want to keep this group together, they got to win. And once the management or the front office, they saw that this was not going to happen, they started making those moves, and Jason left, and the whole rebuild started.
How impressed are you that Carter has played up until this last year? To me, that's one of the most impressive things that he's been able to sustain. And not just, he's not a bench warmer. I mean, every team he's been on since he left the Nets, he's had a vital role on almost every team.
Yeah, I think the most positive or the biggest praise I can give him is that he, as his career kind of went on a decline, he was able to adjust to his role on different teams. He was not one of those guys saying, "Hey, but 5-10 years ago I was the best in the league in this or the best in that," and kind of demanding minutes or wanting more or was not satisfied. He adjusted to those situations, and you could see that he really enjoys playing basketball still at the age of 40 or whatever, And even to not be on a winning team anymore, but still play and contribute, tells a lot of how much he enjoyed the game to stick around for that long, because he definitely didn't have to do it, but he did. And at some point, I agreed with comments of media or other people who were saying, "Hey, Vince should just step aside and let some young player play." But on the other hand, I'm thinking, yeah, but let that young player first outplay Vince. So I kind of was cheering for him, and I enjoyed seeing him play that late. Unfortunately, his last season got cut short. I would really enjoy seeing him play his last game of the season and wave goodbye for the last time, and knowing that I was a part of his career, which was just tremendous.
Yeah, actually, I had a chance. So me and my girlfriend went to the Brooklyn Nets Atlanta Hawks game. I think it was October or November. Carter played. The late Kobe Bryant and his daughter were there, Gigi, and they were at the game. So I got to see them. I got to see Carter, and that's going to be a memory that stays with me forever because of what happened with Kobe and his daughter, and because Carter was on the court, and it was just one of those kind of magical moments that, yeah, it was incredible. But I really praise Vince Carter for his career. If he hangs it up, he's a Hall of Famer in my mind, first ballot. And if he plays still, I think he could still average 10 to 12 points a game in his sleep.
Was he 42?
I think he could probably still be on a team and at the worst help some of the young players. The problem is that if you are on a team and you do that, you kind of take away the roster spot. So that's a difficult one right there. But I agree. I mean, Vince had absolutely an amazing career, and the funny thing is, I didn't like him as a person when I played against him in previous years when he was in Toronto, and I thought he was cocky and full of himself, and I never liked him. I honestly never liked him before. But once I got on the Nets, he really was one of the nicest guys you can meet. He's an incredible guy, and you could not be more happy for a guy to have such a career, especially because you know his personality and you know that he's a good dude. And so I wish him all the best, and I'm wondering what he's going to do next. Probably going to see him on TV like RJ, and that'll be fun. See those guys argue over something, that'll be something else.
That would be really funny. What are you going to say, Spen? I just wanted to jump back before we kept going to the 2007 playoff, just before we move past that. You mentioned the Cavs. Can you talk a little bit about playing against that Cavs team with LeBron, a rising LeBron? They had Ilgauskas, Boobie Gibson. What was kind of your guys' game plan? And I know ultimately ended up losing that series, but what was the idea going into it in order to get a win?
Well, for us, it was important, obviously, to contain as much as possible LeBron. I think we were changing a lot of defenders on him. Mainly Jason and RJ were guarding him, if I'm remembering it correctly. Obviously, Ilgauskas was a problem. He was a skilled big guy that drew attention. They had a lot of shooters around them. I think at the end, Donnell Marshall made a big three when we were playing back in Jersey that game. Game 4, when they went up 3-1, and then we went back to Cleveland and won that game to bring it to 3-2. So the way I see it is that if we were able to have one of those final plays of that game 4, if we did it right and go back to Cleveland at 2-2, we would put ourselves in a great situation to win that game 5 and then bring it back to Jersey. And I thought that was our chance. So I still remember that when we lost the game 4 at home, when I got back home to my place in Jersey, I was so mad that I hit with the palm of my head. I hit the front door so hard I thought I broke my hand. It was so painful. I hit it so hard that I thought I broke it. So the whole night I was icing it. I was fearing that I broke my hand. Luckily, it wasn't broken. I never told anybody. When actually we went back to play in Cleveland, actually, I think I made 3 threes in a row. And at that moment, I was like, no, I'm good. Until that moment, I wasn't sure if I'll be able to shoot or not. So that's how angry I was, because I knew that was our chance right there to tie it to 2-2 and then take it to Cleveland. So that's why I keep saying that was a close series that I thought we had a legit chance of winning. I'm not saying we would have then gone to the finals or win the championship, but that was a series that we could have got.
I think you would have put up more of a fight against the Spurs and the Cavs, but that's just my opinion.
Could be.
07-08 season, your last season with the Nets, obviously a rebuild year. After that, you returned to Europe, where you played for teams in Russia, Turkey, Germany, and Spain, winning 2 league championships along the way. It seems like everywhere you played in Europe, you had success and you won. So how were almost all the teams you played on able to have that success? Was that the Boki Nachbar effect?
Well, I didn't win in every year that I was on those teams, but I did have a lot of success. I was obviously, because of my solid NBA career, I was obviously picked up by top European teams, and that obviously puts you in a situation to win. It's almost like the Lakers now would pick you up, for example, and you're immediately in a situation where you could possibly win. So as I was moving from country to country over my, I want to say, 10-year span after my NBA, I was usually on the teams that had a legit chance to win championships. When in a lot of cases we did. So it wasn't just me. I would be lying if I said that it was just Boki Nachbar effect, But I was contributing, and I was happy to at the end of my career to brag that I've won championships in Slovenia, Italy, Germany, Spain. Won the cup championship in Turkey. So it's been good to be a part of those teams, and especially to then make lasting friends in all those countries. And I'm always able to return there and have this network of people throughout Europe because of all these positive memories. It's always nice.
Did you feel that you ever had to adjust your game depending on the country you went to? Were there different styles? Were there different types of basketball being played that you felt you had to mold to a specific team?
Maybe towards later in my career, especially in Barcelona, I kind of moved towards a guy that was a role player. In all other teams, I usually had the role of a guy that would had to lead the team. So towards the end of my career, yes. But to be honest, I never particularly enjoyed the European game. I always enjoyed the NBA game more. And to me, it was the NBA game is more open, and it allows, or it doesn't allow as much contact, even though it's a physical game. But your talent and your ability to either penetrate strong or to shoot a 3, all these things come out more. In Europe, it's more about you're able to elbow more and to push more and to grab more, and it kind of levels out the playing field, so to say. The talented players don't stick out as much, and that's why, for example, Luka Doncic, who had a great success in Europe, he's times 10 in the NBA because he was already that great in Europe. He just couldn't really see that as much, even though in the last year of Europe he was already dominating. But statistics wise, he wasn't averaging 40 here. He was averaging, I don't know, maybe 13, 14, 15. But now he's averaging almost double that in the NBA because NBA allows that. So that's the biggest difference.
That's a really good point. And when you came back, you said you still talk to Yao Ming a little bit. What other players are there any from the Nets that you keep in contact with?
Well, with Nenad Krstic, we stay in touch, here and there. With Jason Collins a while ago, I think it was last year, I saw him in Vegas Summer League, so we had a chance to catch up real quick. RJ is one of those guys that here and there I'll reach out to him. But to be honest, I saw Vince also in Vegas during the Summer League, but I haven't seen Jason in a long time. So it's not like I wouldn't lie and say, hey, we're best buddies. I mean, we had those great years together, and it's not like we have a ton in common off the court. We don't. But if we see each other in one of those events, we'll be happy to get together and talk about those days and to catch up. But nowadays, I think that everybody kind of feels just one phone call away. I mean, we live in a world where the internet and everything is connecting people. So if I needed to talk to any of those guys today, I'd probably be very easy for me to get in touch with them.
That's true. And we would like to think you still root for the Nets. Do you still root for the Nets?
I do root for the Nets, even though I see it a little bit differently now that they're in Brooklyn. And that whole change. But a part of me is always going to be a Nets fan. I can't deny that. I had one of the best years of my career with the Nets, and I enjoyed playing there and living in Jersey and being close to the city and meeting people there and passionate basketball fans and all that and having success. Even though, like I said before, didn't win championship, but for me personally, there have been good years, and that's definitely something that makes it special. So for me, the New Jersey Nets, the old logo is the one forever.
That's true. And we were joking around, I know, before we started recording, how we all wish they were still in Jersey, and that hit me and Spencer pretty hard. Not just, state pride and living in New Jersey and kind of making something that felt so classic, kind of modern and new, and trying to change it in that regard, but also Brooklyn is just a pain in the ass to get to from Jersey. So we just cannot go to as many games as we want to, which makes it a little more difficult, but still try to see as much as we can.
Yeah, I was there. I was at the Nets game, I want to say now a year ago. Yeah, about a year and a little bit over a year ago. And it was a great experience because the new management was kind enough to, put a little bit of surprise for me, not that big of a deal, but they put me in this when I was watching the game on the big screen and, thanked me for the years with the Nets. And I was surprised because a lot of people still were, reacted to it. I didn't know that so many people would still remember the Nets, but that was a good thing. I mean, not the Nets, but the New Jersey Nets. But that was a good thing to see that people still have this appreciation and still have the connection with the old Nets, so to say, even though now it's a new story and new team and new management and so on and so on. But, you have to remember the roots. So the New Jersey Nets definitely represent that when you're talking about the Brooklyn Nets today.
I think that New Jersey Nets fan is still alive. Obviously, you can see it with me and Nick, but I also think that the Brooklyn Nets management is going to do a better job in the future of remembering the past. Because from 2000 to 2007, the Nets were one of the most exciting teams in the Eastern Conference to watch. The second Jason Kidd game here, Vince Carter got traded here. We had Richard Jefferson, Kenyon Martin, Boki Nachbar, all these guys that just came in and gave us electric basketball for 7 or 8 years. I think that the management's going to start to just have fans remember that more and do these throwback nights. And I think there's talks about the Nets possibly wearing the New Jersey jerseys, which would be amazing.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm sure that there's reasoning behind it, and whether it's marketing or whatever else, that why the Brooklyn Nets now are wearing different type of those, what do they call, city jerseys or whatever?
Yeah,
city,
Bed-Stuy.
right?
The Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, exactly. So I get it. I just have been a little bit also negatively surprised that they haven't brought back the New Jersey Nets jerseys yet. I mean, that would make the whole sense. I mean, wear it every year for at least a couple of games. I think, maybe for some big game or Christmas game or a Knicks game or whatever. Though that would be, I think it would bring a lot of emotion from a lot of people, from a lot of fans. It would bring in a lot of attention. That's something that I think every New Jersey Nets player or former player is waiting for. We want to see that, and I want to see it for selfish reasons as well. I want to see Kevin Durant wearing number 7 of the New Jersey Nets, so I can tell my daughter that he has my number. So because she still doesn't believe me when I say, yeah, Kevin Durant is wearing number 7 like I did, and she looks at the jersey and she's like, no, that's Brooklyn, that's not New Jersey Nets. I'm like, no, that's the same team. So once that happens, she will believe me.
Hopefully this interview will convince the Nets to do that. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, right.
Let's hope for it. Yeah.
And speaking of Durant, what do you think of the current squad?
I'm a huge fan of Kevin Durant. I always been a big fan. When we played against them with Slovenia in the 2010 World Championship in Turkey, in Istanbul, was the first time I actually played against him, and I could right away see and understand why he's special because of his height and ability to shoot over you. And no matter how close you got, he would just shoot over you. and knock it down. And I knew he was special. So for me, I've been always a huge fan of his. I love his game. I love his determination. I like how he misses three in a row and he'll make the fourth one with the same look on his face. I think he's so special, and I think deservingly people are putting him already up close to the all-time greats. Unfortunately, the injury is a tough one, and hopefully he's going to get back like he was before, or at least close to it. But exciting times are coming for the Nets fans again. I think that with him and Kyrie finally playing together, then it's going to be up to the management to pull the right moves and to surround them with people that can take him to the finals and hopefully win the championship. I think that's the goal. It has to be with those guys.
Are they championship ready now, or are they a move or two away?
I don't think they are because we still haven't seen the product on the court. So it's very difficult to say. Yeah. Just look at the list and say, yeah, those guys are ready. I mean, you cannot say that about any team because you don't know how that's going to work, and you don't know especially how this current team is going to work when adversity hits. When some tough some tough losses happen, when maybe a trade happens for whatever reason, when some they lose a tough game against some opponent, in the last second shot, and then how can the team react? The good teams and the great teams will always react positively and come back stronger. But only looking at the list of players doesn't tell you that. You have to see that chemistry on the court. And if the current Nets team can have that kind of a chemistry and that kind of a reaction to all this adversity that's going to come for sure, not to mention the media pressure that's going to obviously expect the Nets to win it, in year one. That's going to depend a lot of it. So I wouldn't say immediately say that those guys are going to be finalists or the champions immediately. I like to see how it works on the court as well, but they definitely have a good foundation. And that's why I say I think it's more from here on out on the management to do the right moves and to assemble the right team, and on the coach as well, whoever the next coach is.
All right, that makes I agree with you. You can't look at a roster and say they're championship ready. Just look at what the Miami Heat did in 2011 when they lost to the Mavs, what the 04 Lakers did when they lost to the Pistons. Great players win games, but great teams win championships. All right, Boki, we really appreciate you staying on this long. We're gonna end the interview with a rapid fire. Going to be some quick questions. Just shout out your answers, and we'll go from there. You ready?
Sure, let's do it.
Perfect. Favorite teammate of all time?
Man, you started with a difficult one. I had a lot of good teammates. I would still say probably Yao Ming.
Favorite coach of all time?
Mike D'Antoni.
Best game you've ever played? Any level.
Oh, best game. Personally, that I like. You mean scoring wise, or the championship game that meant the most to me?
Oh, I was saying scoring wise.
I think I scored 60. I think it was like 63 or something in elementary school game, high school game, something like this. But
that counts. That counts. Hardest player you've ever had to score against? I guess best defender you've ever gone against?
Probably Kobe.
Best player you've ever played against in any league?
Kobe.
MJ or LeBron?
MJ.
More athletic in their prime, Steve Francis or Vince Carter?
Nobody gets close to Vince.
Biggest party guy you've ever been around? Teammate.
I had a lot of crazy dudes, but I would say RJ, but not because he would drink crazy. He just enjoys life. So I don't necessarily mean that he's partying all the time, but he's one of those happy guys. And the RJ you see on TV now, that's RJ. So I would say RJ.
Favorite activity during quarantine?
Favorite activity during watching the Last Dance.
I guess favorite show on Hulu or Netflix, is that The Last Dance too?
Of course.
Best
even though I do like the on Hulu, the Maidens, what is it called?
Handmaid's Tale?
Handmaid's Tale. Love that show.
Should me and him watch that?
Hey, it'll make you
it's
a
kind
little
of dark, right?
It's dark. It's dark. It's depressing at times, but it's an amazing TV series.
Nick's a film writer, actually. That's his occupation. Nicky writes film
Okay.
for a living.
Okay. Yeah, you should watch that then. I definitely recommend it.
Best international basketball player not named Boki Nachbar.
I would never name myself anyways. Let's see. Well, a lot of people are we never seen Dražen Petrovic to his full potential. So it's difficult to say somebody else than Dražen. Dražen's meant so much to all of us, and I know that the old New Jersey fans as well. Even though we had so many greats over the years, but I'll say Dražen. He was the one for all of us.
What's the thing you missed most about playing in the NBA?
The fun of the game. The NBA game is fun. It's enjoyable to play. It's open. I just simply miss the game. Just being on the court and playing. That's the biggest thing.
All right, final question in the rapid fire. If you could create a candy bar called the Boki Nachbar, what would be in it?
Do you know Mars? The Mars bars. So it'd be kind of like a combination between Mars bar and Oreo. I think that would kind of be the mix right there.
That sounds incredible. I would buy like 10 of those.
Nestle, do you hear that?
Don't steal that from me, guys.
All right, that does it for rapid fire. Boki, we thank you so much for coming on. Before we let you go, Nick has a quick challenge for you, and it's not a question challenge or anything. Nick, go ahead.
So on Fireside Nets, we're trying to interview and talk to as many former Nets players as possible, and we're putting together a little virtual horse tournament. So on behalf of the Fireside Nets, we would like to challenge you, if you have access to a hoop, to a virtual horse tournament against me and Spencer.
I do have a hoop. It's a little bit lower than the usual hoop.
You have to play on your knees.
I would have to, because it's for my daughters, So, but we can do two things. I can play on this lowered hoop, which would be a huge advantage for me. Or we can wait a little bit until the quarantine opens up to a point where I can go to an actual court. So you guys decide.
All right, we'll have to ponder that,
we'll
Nick.
Figure it out.
We'll get back to you.
Okay.
Boki, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And wishing you and your family a healthy and safe rest of the quarantine.
Same to you guys. Stay safe. Keep doing what you guys doing. I can see you guys are huge enthusiasts for basketball. And as a player, I can say we have, and I always personally had, huge appreciation for people like you guys, because you guys make who we are. You guys do, you guys help us to achieve our dreams, so to say. Without fans, we got nothing. So nothing but appreciation, guys.